Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Well, hello there.
Welcome back, guys. So, we got done with our morning. Well, actually, I did my meditation mantras. Cindy's just been working her buns off doing charts.
Gotta get them done.
Yes. Trying to keep up. And thank you guys, as always, for your support. Ko-Fi, Patreon, as well as supporting the channels and all the work that you've asked us to do for you. It's been a blessing. And when we do for others, it's a blessing upon the self as well. So we live in a world of ever-increasing forced conformity.
I know, isn't it though? It's kind of like putting a squeeze on our souls and personalities to fit into a certain kind of a box.
There's an innate feeling in humans, a wanting to be a part of something, and we are a part of something, as we've said. Every single individual on the planet is a part of the planet itself, like a cell in the body, and the planet is just a cell in the body of something bigger, and our galaxy is, again, just a cell in the body of something bigger, and the same thing with the universe. As above, so below, as within, so without. Yet, there are those that will not go along with societal trends and will dare to be unique.
Well, dare to be themselves. And unfortunately, in this day and age, that's something that's actually daring. It's scary to step out and be yourself because the way society is held together right now.
Exactly. And the pressure is going to keep increasing as we are passing from this age, which has been an age, as we have spoken of so many times, of division, of competing against each other. And when you think about it, if we go back to that analogy and recognize that we're part of something bigger, part of a whole, when you look at some of the other life on this planet, for instance, you look at bees, you look at ants, for instance, they always work together. They work as a community. They build together. They do personal sacrifice for the greater good. And humanity hasn't figured out how to do that yet. And of course, there are other influences in this world that are taking advantage of that for their own agendas.
Oh, most definitely. They create trauma to create division.
What we have to recognize is each one of us is a unique expression of source. And, some people will have a hard time just saying, well, source? You mean God. Well, that's conditioning. That's the conditioning that people have been brought up with. It's time for us to all shake our conditioning and to dare to be ourselves.
Well, it's really important, I feel, to respect other people's points of view, belief systems, and admire them because it is an expression of source.
There's an automatic reflex action in many people that have been so indoctrinated that they are unfortunately unable to have their own free thoughts. They just basically will say things that have been rammed into their head in just a reflexive, repetitive way without really any thought or processing of their own. And so if you say something that somebody would take to be anti-conservative, oh, you must be a liberal. It's that black and white thing that we're talking about instead of all these different shades of gray. And, if you're, say, something that's maybe could be viewed as anti-capitalist, well, you must be a communist because there isn't anything in this world but just capitalists and communists, right? There's no other systems. There's no other possibilities. Same thing with Republicans and Democrats. You must be one or the other. How could there be anything else? This is the type of indoctrination that we see around this planet that has taken away individuality, taken away free thought. And we know free speech is pretty much gone as well.
It is. It absolutely is. And that's a really sad thing because it inhibits our ability to fully express ourselves and what we're trying to get across and what we truly mean. We're not allowed to do that anymore as a society.
The nonstop religious wars that we have seen throughout our history as well is nothing but an atrocity, against each other, our own very souls. When people commit these acts of hatred in the name of God. How, that it's such a conundrum. When you look at it, it's like, if God is love, then where does an act of hatred fit in?
Well, it is a conundrum. You want to just say, well, I only want all good things. I don't want anything bad to happen. And that's my belief system. And I wouldn't mind that belief system. Just do no harm.
Exactly. When you look at it, dogma is window dressing. It's putting a certain clothing on, so to speak. It's a certain way of doing things, but dogma again is just man-made. It's something that humanity has come up with, not the source, not the true source of all things, God with the big G. Again, if God is love, where is there any room for hatred?
Oh, that's so true. So true.
So the age that we're going in is going to be one of a uniqueness. For one thing, it's going to be one in which the individual is allowed to be themselves, to find their own path. They don't have to conform to any dogma. They don't have to conform to any religion. It's interesting in that sometimes as we get more religious, we can get less spiritual.
Yeah, that's so true.
And actually lower our vibrations because we start to think there's only one way. And it's the way that I have been conditioned in. And they don't recognize that they've been conditioned. They just think that they're brought up with the right way. Why? Well, because I respect those who taught me that. My parents, my religious teachers, what have you, the society that I live in. And it's the same thing that comes with, pride for your country over any other country. Again, there's a fall after the pride. It's understanding the bigger picture, that there's a uniqueness inherent in every single one of us. Every single one of us has something unique to contribute, and that's to be cherished and upheld.
Absolutely. And looking at someone's point of view, respecting that, allowing them to have their points of view, and just sort of pondering it instead of judging it.
Before we get to that point, though, we are going to be hit with a Borg-like mentality of epic proportions, and we are going to be forced to conform. We're going to have to choose between, do I want to live a comfortable life like I've been living with my creature comforts and this and that, being able to move freely, being able to do my shopping, being able to go to a restaurant, or do I want to be able to be myself? You're going to have to make a choice between conformity and, free will.
And in all honesty, some people might be okay with the conformity, and that's okay, but we at least want the ability to explore our free will still.
Most definitely. So we are, as if we equate it again to the ages, coming out of the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, and we're heading into a more enlightened area with a lot more possibilities than what we've had, because still, as we've been saying, there's been this huge push for conformity, and it's a global thing, and it's a power thing, and it's a struggle of, one group against another, a tiny group trying to control the masses as we see, and manipulate people into, giving away their uniqueness. Do we all want to be John Malkovich? No, I don't think so.
Yep. And also taking advantage of people's weaknesses and people's vulnerability.
Yes, preying on fears. So, this is what we got in meditation. It's basically, again, there's going to be rapid change, massive change. The old way is going to be disappearing so fast. It's going to be very, very scary. It's like that roller coaster ride. But at the same time, it will lead to transformation, which is a positive thing. There's going to be a lot of events just cascading down so fast, it's going to be breathtaking. Yet at the same time, it has to happen. because the alternative is we are all assimilated into the Borg, and we lose our own individual way of doing things, our own individuality, and even perhaps being affected past this lifetime. Which is a very, very scary thought. As from what we have experienced in meditation, we believe that you basically you don a body like you don clothes, and then switch to another suit, so to speak, for a new experience. But yet there is the possibility of getting trapped in lower vibrational loops, which is something that is part of the orchestration of the powers that be right now, trying to do that. And we've talked about how they do that. And again, it's through the nonstop wars, it's through the nonstop fear, and it's through all the chaos that is orchestrated globally.
And I think it's good to remember that the information from the old suit, even though we might shed it, there's still that energy and information left over.
So we, for those of you that might know Babaji is what you would call ascended master. He was the teacher of the teacher of the teacher of Yogananda, and some believe he's taught some of the most spiritual beings that have ever walked the planet. And so would you share a teeny bit of the message that he was giving us?
Yeah, he's a very powerful being. I had no idea how powerful his energy was, but he showed up this morning and just, I presented himself. I'm here, and he did want us to talk about people using their individuality, people expressing themselves, people understanding that they are a unique expression of source. And as I was channeling him, I couldn't get a lot of information because I kept getting dizzier and dizzier and dizzier. But he's such a beautiful being. And also, as far as the way he teaches people, he does work through other people. He does channel through other people to help teach.
Yeah, and it's interesting how some people that are of a fundamentalist mindset will view channeling in a negative light. But what do you think all the Old Testament prophets did? That was channeling, that was channeling the Spirit of God, so to say. That's what it is. And, going into prayer and meditation, when Jesus went out into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and fasted, what's he doing? He's channeling the Holy Spirit, and this is what it is. But what it is that the powers that be want you to only believe the source, the channeling of beings that, is probably anywhere. We don't even know how old in reality those channelings are when you get down to it. Were you there? No. So you have to go on their authority. And when we recognize that, the whole modern church comes from Constantine the Great's decision on what's going to go in and what's not going to go in. The Holy Roman Empire, an emperor, and of which, as we said before, they destroyed all the texts that didn't go along with the official version. But thankfully, we found some in Qumran and the Nag Hammadi, and we have Dead Sea Scrolls as well, which give us some older texts. And then we have all the texts from everywhere else in the world. Why believe and why just look at one little tribe instead of look at the entire globe and see what traditions around the entire globe say, and then judge within, go within, be unique. It's not necessary to conform as much as they want us to conform. So dare to be unique.
Yeah, it's very, very important for humanity to keep our organic abilities and hold on to our soul.
Exactly, because control comes through fear. And again, every single one of us is a unique expression of source. Otherwise, we would all be just like a Borg. And so the choice ahead is one of free will or assimilation. That's really your choice. It's going to be Are you going to stand up for yourself, for your rights, for your own uniqueness? Or are you going to conform and be assimilated and lose your own individuality in that Borg?
Right. And, this can go on for generations too. So I personally think it's important to hold on to your soul, hold on to your organic abilities, hold on to what we know as far as what is being free. What does that look like for you?
There have been religious reformers all throughout history that have been brought up in a tradition and then found that there were some things about that tradition that didn't feel right in their time. Buddha was brought up as a Hindu, and yet he created Buddhism because he felt that the priesthood, the Brahmins, which again, this was a class thing. This was, again, more the haves and the have-nots. And certain religious ceremonies, things like that, were taking significance. And of course, then you had to tithe, you had to give all your authority, again, to this one class of priests. And, it's the same thing with Jainism. Jainism, again, the founders of Jainism, the same thing. They found that there was things that were wrong that needed to be corrected, and so they broke off. And then there are those in the Hindu tradition, that splintered into so many different segments. We see the same thing with Christianity. Martin Luther started it with the Reformation, and then many others like John Calvin, and it goes on, found, I don't agree with this, so I'm going to do that. And then some people said, oh, I liked what you're doing, I agree with you, and then they follow suit. Later on, they might leave that as well. It's all just tools. Again, these are, when we look at different religious belief systems, they're nothing but tools, because it's the spiritual aspect of it. It's whatever gets you in touch with that higher vibration that lies within you, whatever is going to bring out the best version of you, which can change as time goes on, because again, everything is energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It's always changing form, though. And we're not the same person today that we were yesterday, and we won't be the same person tomorrow. We're always evolving.
Always evolving, and that's where they want to create a box for us. It's like pouring a mold into a cookie cutter. They're trying to make the cookie cutter, so when they pour us in there, we take on a specific mold for their convenience.
The thing that we have to realize is it's okay for everybody to be unique. It's okay if we had 7.7 billion people on the planet, each with their own religion, each with their own political system, each with their own way of viewing things. That's actually kind of beautiful, because that shows we're living to our fullest by being our own unique expression of Source.
And allowing others to be theirs.
Exactly. That is so huge. Allowing others to be theirs. Not condemning others. Not saying, well, you got to conform to what I think, because I got it right and you're wrong. That is just pure ignorance. It's pure ignorance. Most of it is just conditioned ignorance. And it's conditioned to keep people in fear and conformity. And we will, in the new era to come, in the new times that will be upon us and are breaking out right now, we won't accept that. Humanity won't accept that. We will not try either to impose on others. Meanwhile, we know we are being imposed on by certain powers that be, and it's imperative that we stand up for our rights and individuality and not be assimilated and give away what is truly that which is our selfhood, our unique selfhood.
Yes, and it can be a fine line to walk, but all we can do is read what's in our hearts and do what we know to be the right thing.
Exactly. So the founder of the Baha'i faith, for instance, didn't live a long life. Not long at all. And what he was trying to do was to unify people and to say, hey, it's okay if we, view things in the light of all these beings that came before us are all, amazing spiritual masters. Give them all respect, acknowledge the beauty that they've shared with the planet. But let's stop killing each other over this. And what did they do to him? Well, they killed him, of course.
Yeah, because he's not conforming.
Because he's not spreading fear, he's not spreading hatred, he's not spreading war, and all the means of which keep us divided.
Yeah, I know it's such a beautiful time where we can all, if we don't like how something is going in our life right now, we have the freedom within to change that and send things in another direction. And that's something that we really need to hold on to.
So shine your own individual light, and do not be afraid to do that, and do not be afraid to speak up and be yourself.
Make no apologies.
Exactly. Thank you guys. As always, make sure you're subscribed and click the bell for all notifications. If you need to reach out to us, it's EEARTS at ProtonMail or evolutionaryenergyarts at gmail.com. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.